hats off to Notre Dame. They are as good of an offensive team as we've played all year. They have the ability to shoot the ball from every position on the floor, almost at all times. I mean, Atkinson played, a little bit over 20 minutes, and he's the only guy that's not a threat. And when I say threat, like more than a threat from the three-point line. And, we're not going to outscore anybody. I think in the first half, with our way we chart, I think we had 4 times where we stopped Notre Dame 3 possessions in a row. And, our goal was 7, and it got stuck on 4 for the first 14 minutes of the second half. And we're not going to win a game against Notre Dame playing both halves the way that we did. We made maybe 4 or 5 off the dribble threes, tough shots. We have to be better communicating things that are happening on the floor, whether that's guys processing it quicker so that they can let their teammate know through communication a switch is coming, a screen is coming. We have some guys that have to figure that out faster. We have some guys that have to figure it out how to be louder so that we don't have 2 players stuck on the ball and a wide open Notre Dame player sitting behind the three-point line. And they're a challenge to guard. They got some veteran guys that can shoot the ball at an extremely high level. It was a tough matchup for our team, to say the least. Couldn't play Sid in the second half. He tweaked his ankle. And so Malik got gassed and wasn't as good as he was in the first half. So we got a quick turnaround, and we have to be ready for Virginia on Monday night.
Chris, you mentioned the three-point shooting, and they go 15 to 23, but they're also 12 of 16 on layups and dunks. How does that happen in both places, and how do you compete with them when that happens?
Yeah, again, I think, Brett, it comes down to a lot of miscommunication, like not being loud enough, 2 guys sticking on the ball, and now all of a sudden when the ball is thrown to that open player, just completely selling out and him going right around you. They finished some stuff around the rim. We have some guys that have to be able to guard their challenge better in those closeout situations. Like most teams that have played Notre Dame, as they go into their ball screen continuity, we chose to switch those screens. Hedging and getting too stuck on the ball just opens up a tough can of worms like it did the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game, and we knew that. And so going to the switching, now you have your bigs on some perimeter players that are driving the ball. They sort of put some of their big guys close to the basket. We gave up a few around the rim because of our lack of size when we switched. But they're good. They're high IQ. They recognize those mismatches. We got a couple threes that, we ate with our big on their perimeter player. And then we have some guys that just they have to figure out, and I have to figure out how to get them to that point where they don't relax defensively. And you cannot do that against Notre Dame.
Coach, it seemed like, especially in the pick and roll, Notre Dame was able to get some good looks off of that, off the help coming on the pick and roll. Is that just simply a situation where guys are helping too long and late back to shooters? Like, is it one specific thing that, really stands out to you?
Well, I think, as I said in the very beginning, a lot of that is miscommunication. It is a lack of communication. So when the ball screen is taking place, the screener's man has to, number one, call out which direction the screen's coming. And then number 2, at the point of the screen, we have to have the ability to switch cleanly so that now when the ball handler comes off, the screener's man picks him up and vice versa. And we got stuck 2 on the ball way too often. And now the screener, he pops, there's a throwback. And again, whether that leads to a wide open 3 or an out of control closeout that gets driven. And there were some times, quite honestly, where guys just drove right around some of our players. They have to be way better. We have to be way better defensively on the ball.
Chris.
The threat of Notre Dame in terms of spacing at all 5 positions is very difficult. It just is. Most teams have 2 or 3 guys that, are high-level shooters. But when they put Leshevsky at the 5, who's 11 for 18 from the three-point line, and every guy out there, along with Prentice Hub and Blake Wesley, who are 2 really good playmakers and high-level shooters, it spreads you out. That ability to spread a team out gives them the ability to sort of drive more one-on-one situations rather than, gap help. And, again, we've got to be better on the ball in order to keep from guys sucking in.
Despite all that, you were with them, right? You stayed right with them till the last 8 minutes or so, and then seemed to struggle offensively. What changed?
Couldn't make shots around the basket. I'll tell you, Paul. We're just, no one's trying to miss them, but we've got to make 2-footers, 3-footers. We got to be able to do it through contact, and it's plagued our team. We don't want to just, fire up 3 after 3. We have to get things in the paint. We get the ball in there, and we've got to be able to finish through contact. Whether it's getting the ball knocked out of our hands, whether it's, missing a 1-foot layup, whether it's, you name it. We've got to be able to knock a few points so that the lead doesn't stretch 10 or 12, but keeps it 4 or 6, and then figure out, again, what plagues us on the defensive end like we talked about. But, yeah, it's difficult. We got to play through that. But we're getting some shots that, quite honestly, we got to put in. We got to knock down.
Chris, was it your sense that most of the three-pointers they took were uncontested or relatively uncontested, or were they just hitting shots, the tough shots?
A little bit of everything. To go 15 to 23. I don't know if you could pull Notre Dame out of the locker room and, not even be out on the floor and ask them to shoot 23 shots, and make 15 of them behind the arc. They got some open looks. There's no doubt about it. I think when we get too stuck on the ball off of a ball screen because of our lack of communication, that kills us. When we get stuck with a big on a ball handling, perimeter type player, and we play with our hands down because we're trying to keep the ball in front of us, and we don't, hand down, man, man down, hand down, ball's going in. And that's what happened. We had a couple opportunities where our 5 is guarding the ball and just sort of eyes them one-on-one, shoots over the top of them. And that's a challenge when you have your 6'11" kid out on the perimeter. If he's committed too much to the shot, they're gonna drive around, and you either suck in and help, and they kick the ball out, and that's how they play drive and kick basketball. And we're not the only team that sees it.
Chris, could you hear fans booing at the end of the game, and whether or not you could? What do you say to fans who are frustrated at this point?
I'm frustrated too. I appreciate that everybody coming tonight. They care deeply. They care deeply. They want Louisville to win. We want Louisville to win. Trust me, we're trying to do everything we can to get better, to improve. Notre Dame is a huge challenge to any team that plays them. On the offensive end, they're really difficult to guard, and we didn't do the job for 2 halves.
Chris, quick turnaround to Virginia, which has been his nemesis for Louisville for many years. What was the message to the guys? Just come back and watch film?
Just that. We have a quick turnaround. Tomorrow will be a huge prep day to learn their personnel, learn what they do on both ends of the floor. Obviously, coaches know what they do through scouting, but our players' sole focus has been Notre Dame up until right now. So now it's a matter of, in 48 hours, can we feel a heck of a lot better about ourselves and about the effort that we give against Virginia in order to come back with a road win.
How hurt or difficult or for Sidney is it? Just a tweak of what he had before?
Yeah, I think Sidney could have played. I felt like when he was in there in the stretch that I put him in, he just didn't quite look 100%. I felt like he was favoring it a little bit. And, again, with all the things that happened on Notre Dame's offensive end of the floor, I thought it would be really tough for him and difficult to, be effective.
Coach, you guys hit some big shots early in the game on some very difficult looks from both West as well as Malik. But it seemed like you guys struggled to get easy, clean looks in the offense. How happy are you with the offensive execution, and do you like the shot quality you're getting right now?
It's, ironically, I thought in the second half we were getting some better shots around the rim. We certainly made some shots that probably we haven't made all year. But I think that there were some shots that weren't necessarily generated the way that you draw them up on a whiteboard or the way that you practice it. But, guys got to be players too. And, Jared felt it a couple times when they went under his ball screen. Haven't really seen that all year. But I want guys to play with confidence. I want guys to be able to, share the ball. And I didn't think those two things were lacking in the first half. We generated some better offense in the second half and didn't make those shots.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.